be, right? I mean, it has to be this year if you're Jordan Love, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had your setbacks. You did what we do here at Quarterback University, right? You sat behind a starter for a couple of years. The torch was passed, and then you had a hot first year as a starter, and then you got banged up a little bit. Last year didn't go how we wanted. Yeah, this year, oh yeah, it's got to be this year for Jordan. It does, and
Yeah.
it doesn't mean he has to be like off the charts in every single statistical category.
Right.
It just means play some damn good ball for us this year, and let's go get it done. And I agree, Clayton. I think he's ready, and I think he's put the work in over the offseason. I think we shouldn't read too much into Matt's comments about it was kind of a quick response about Jordan's offseason. It went as well as it could have gone, but I mean, you can read into that however you want. I know what I've seen just based on what he's shared with off-season workouts and training regimen, things like that. So I think Jordan's ready, and it's too early in the year to really start, trying to pick apart too much. But I think by the time we roll into the preseason, we're going to feel pretty good coming out of camp here with Jordan.
United Bates says Wolf, talking about Ron Wolf, while an assistant to the general manager of the New York Jets, had intended to take Favre in the 91 draft, but Favre was taken by the Falcons on the previous pick. Obviously, you guys know He was taken in the second round, and then Ron Wolf went to Green Bay the next year and trades a first-round pick for him. Also in that program, I'm going to snap a picture of it tonight and tweet it out, is a picture of Ron Wolf with Elliott Wolf, who looked like one of those smaller kids behind Andy Reid just a second ago. And it's like, for those of you who don't know, Elliott Wolf worked for the Packers for a long time. He's now the general manager for the New England Patriots. Just a really cool picture of both of them together when he first got to Green Bay. And Ron Wolf had some birth control pants on in that picture. I'm just telling you. One of those that had the long strap across the front and everything. Almost looked like they were, I don't know if cashmere is the right word or not. They looked like polyester pants or something, bro. It looked like they would burn a man up there on a training camp morning. So, but it was cool to see kind of a walk down memory lane with all these characters that are still in the league. And obviously Ron Wolf, just a class act. That dude was a real deal, man. But one of the things that's going to help Jordan Love obviously take the next step is whether or not Matthew Golden gets off to a hot start. And you can see here Matt Schneidman with the tweet, just a little curl route, but you kind of see the quickness, the burst with Matthew Golden. If Matthew Golden pops right out of the gate, and then we get Christian Watson back late October, early November, boy, oh boy, this is going to be a fun season, man. If Matthew Golden, if they hit on this pick, and again, I have no reason to think they won't. It doesn't mean that he has to blow up year one, but I think we're going to look back in 3 years and go, yep, that was a legitimate first-round wide receiver, because the players that have been mentioned that Goody was interested in taking in the first round at the wide receiver position were people like Brandon Ayuk, people like Justin Jefferson, right?
Yep.
These are the guys that, people act like Justin Jefferson was like a top 3 pick. That was not the case. He went later in the first round. So the fact that Goody was so high on him as well as Brandon Ayuk, it tells me that when he's got a first-round grade on a player, they're a hit. There was rumors that Christian Watson, he had a first-round grade on Christian Watson. Now, obviously, they take him in the second round. That's Christian Watson, other than the injuries, has been a hit, in my opinion. My God, when he's on the field, I mean, he really changes the dynamic of the offense. But I don't know. What do you guys think about the role that Matthew Golden could play in Jordan Love taking that next step this year?
Well, I mean, me personally, I think that he with McCole Hardman might be the two wide receivers that have surprised me so far, just in how well it seems like they've adapted. And like Jordan Love, he's said some stuff about McCole, mostly positive, but in also saying like, his first couple reps, his first couple days, you could see maybe that he had to adjust maybe to the speed of the game or just to how we run things here. But all of a sudden that he's shown why he's a first round receiver. Obviously the speed there, Love being able to throw that deep ball with him is something that I'm very excited about. And I don't know why, just him wearing 22, I love it. And I know people for whatever reason feel some type of way about it. I want him to come out. I'd be happy. Again, I believe it was the over-under was set around like 750 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was.
So I would be completely over the moon if he was even around the 600 range. I think that's realistic with how deep this wide receiver room is. And if he's one more puzzle piece, I just think that it's that much harder to figure out who you're going to guard in this Packers offense.
Yeah, I agree. Marco Day says, "Hi everyone, laying in bed in. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Is it Ennis or Enos? You think?
I think it's Ennis, probably.
Ennis, Ireland. Right now, listening to you fellas, can't wait to see what the Pack has on paper. They should be better. Appreciate you listening from Ireland, Mark. That's where my family migrated over from way back in the 1600s. Ran it back to Ireland, obviously with the last name Bailey. You guys get the gist there, right?
Got to add Mark to the ticker, our international ticker here. We've got Marlboro Jack in Argentina. We got Paul in Shenzhen, China. We've got Marco Day in Ireland. And
there it is. Yeah, so that's Mark. Yeah, we got him up there, don't we? Yep.
So
Nice.
Cool. Pretty cool that we got somebody in China listening to this stupid program. It's absolutely awesome. So appreciate you guys and gals supporting the channel. Another thing here I just wanted to show real quick was another shot that Ryan Wood tweeted out at by Ryan Wood over on X. A little chemistry between Jordan and Matthew Golden already. You see a little back shoulder throw here. Bang, right? That's a pretty darn good sign right there, working on the back shoulder. And this is something I feel like Matthew Golden is going to be good at. He's got strong hands. He's a hands catcher. You never see him catch with his body unless he's in the – only a couple clips I've seen in the back of the end zone in college where he tried to secure it as he kept his feet in bounds. But you can see hands catcher. He's got excellent body control. I mean, there were so many times that he slowed the pace of his route, recognized the ball was underthrown, laid hands, create separation at the end, and would make a diving catch or a leaping catch, falling on his back. He's got great body control. And this is the type of stuff you want to see early on, is a little bit of that back shoulder chemistry, because that's something that Romeo Doubs and Jordan obviously had in 2023. Yeah. Didn't see it as much last year, but.
What do you think, Tim or Clay, about I can't remember who posted. I wish I could give him credit, but it was something about the fact that Matthew Golden has had to, in the last few years, or last year specifically, was it Quinn Ewers thrown with him that had kind of a duck arm, that he had to learn how to play balls differently than a quarterback that'd be hitting you in stride. Like, he almost had to anticipate that exactly right here. Thank you, Soder. That he basically had to learn how to play the game on a different level, whereas that every pass, he didn't expect it to be in the right position. He had to basically read every pass coming in live like he's a catcher in the MLB and adjust specifically to make that catch. What do you think about that? I think, and I don't want to give this as a backhanded slight to Jordan Love, but that's maybe been a knock on him sometimes, is that he doesn't get enough air underneath the balls, or he can leave guys when they're wide open that have to hold up maybe on their route a little bit. Do you think that that's a positive for Golden or a positive for Love, or do you think it doesn't matter?
I think it's one of the reasons why his numbers weren't as good in college. Quinn Ewers was dealing with an arm injury there at the end. Now, for those of you who don't know, Matthew Golden transferred over to Texas, as well as Isaiah Bond did from Alabama. And the whole goal was Isaiah Bond was supposed to be the number one receiver, right? He was the dude that was supposed to be the guy. And what ended up happening was, by the end of last season, Matthew Golden became that guy. And I want to say he had 900 yards receiving, I believe, 9 touchdowns, I think. And the big thing is, Zacchaeus says here, y'all worry about Matthew Golden's lack of production his 3 years in college. I'm seeing a lot of talk surrounding that. I'm not at all. And I'll tell you why. The biggest games is when he played his best football. Okay, here's what you should do tonight, Zacchaeus, because if you just look at the numbers and you just hear people kind of talk about it, you can be a little bit misled. Go and watch the SEC championship from last year, okay? And watch Matthew Golden. Now, listen, they were down. Texas was down, but watch Matthew. It's like Quinn Ewers said, "The hell with it. I'm just throwing a Golden." And he went off. Same thing, very similar to, I want to say it was Barron Sorrell had a pretty good game in that game as well in the SEC championship. But that's the type of stuff you look for as a scout. You're looking for someone who plays their best football at the largest stakes. And then if you want to try to throw in the negative of, okay, why were his numbers so bad, Tim? Isaiah Bond coming from Bama, that was the reason he didn't get as many looks early. And to me, it adds way more value to Matthew Golden that he took that from him, right? Yep. And again, the goal, as Greg Cosell says, this isn't something I thought of. This is Greg Cosell, the GOAT of breaking down film and projecting players to the next level. You want to draft players who are ascending into the league. I'll give you an example of the perfect example of an ascending player was Edgerrin Cooper. played his best football his last year in college, and you look at the tape and go, I think he can get better. That's what they got in Matthew Golden. So the numbers, yeah, they're down. I agree. They don't look as good as like a Tet McMillan or somebody, but Tet McMillan's scouting report was saying he kind of backed off last year a little bit. You look at the numbers and go, how the heck do you come up with that? But again, people are watching the tape. People are watching the mannerisms. They're watching everything, combing through with a fine-tooth comb. I think with Matthew Golden, it's a couple of things. Tim, he plays his best ball in the biggest games, and he's an ascending player as he comes into the league. Doesn't mean he's going to be a hit. He could be a flop just like any of these draft picks across the entire league. But that's what you're looking for to try to catch that lightning in a bottle, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm with you. I'm not concerned at all. I mean, this would have been great. This is not a knock on Zacharias, but this would have been great pre-draft talk, type of question, right? Look, as we broke down his numbers in the college tape. But now, he's a Green Bay Packer. He's here. I'm interested in what's in front of him. I'm not thinking about college ball anymore. You're in the NFL. So it's about having a good camp. It's about becoming an asset and a valued member of this offense. And being another weapon for Jay Love. I think, at the top of this topic here, we talked about, Matt Golden and how, he may help Jordan Love take that step, having a weapon like this, a dynamic guy that, another guy that you can throw that back shoulder, shot to along the sideline. And, you watch Golden, man, he's a yak master too when he wants to be, man. He can spin out of that break and just cut loose, add another, 15, 20 yards to a play in the blink of an eye. Like Clayton was saying, such good body control and very compressed route runner, doesn't waste a lot of, energy or motion on nonsense in his route. Like you said, Clay, good hands catcher, not a body catcher. All these things point to, he should continue to ascend, and Jordan should probably take that step this year. And we haven't even talked about Savion Williams and the other 400 receivers that Jordan has at his disposal this year. So, I'm not overly concerned about the quote-unquote lack of production from Golden in college, because I'm with you, Clay. I think if you look, he's a guy who stepped up in big moments and in big games, caught a lot of overthrown and underthrown balls during his time there. So I think he's going to be pretty successful here in the NFL, but we do have to be patient, and guys develop at their own rate. So if he's not, Mr. Lights Out right away, I don't think anyone should be panicking. We gotta let him go ahead and develop.
Yeah. RJ Stewart in the chat, man. Good to see you. I don't think I've ever seen you in here before. Appreciate you tuning in. He says Golden transferred from Houston, not Bama. We didn't say he transferred from Bama. That was Isaiah Bond. Golden transferred from Houston. And then someone had mentioned right here, Ed Madden said Golden also played with the guy the Packers signed recently at Houston. So there's always been other options at receiver when Golden was in college. If you guys will remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat here, guys, but I'm almost positive when Golden signed his letter of intent or, on signing day and enrolled at Houston, before he signed, it was Savion Williams hosted him for his visit. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then Savion ended up transferring to TCU 1 or 2 years later. And then, of course, Matthew Golden played at Houston a couple of years, and he transfers over to Texas. So, again, he signs at Houston. He outplays that spot and then that's a huge promotion to go from Houston to Texas. So he ascended from Houston to Texas, and then while he was at Texas, he ascended from the number 2 receiver to the number 1 receiver, playing his best ball at the end in the SEC championship. It's just ascension the whole way through the progression there. So, and you guys know Isaiah Bond, his draft stock tanked. The Packers had him in for a 30 visit. His draft stock tanked because of off the field stuff, rumors, what have you. Whether it was true or not, I'm not here to try to determine that. But his stock kind of, and that's a perfect example too. Goody going in, we need a receiver. All right, we really like Matthew Golden. Well, his teammate Isaiah Bond was more highly touted than Matthew Golden. Let's take a look at both of them, right? Mm-hmm. And what you have is one player was up here, and then after he finished in Texas, he was down here. The other one was down here in Houston, and after he finished in Texas, he's up here. Ascending player as opposed to a descending player. So that's stuff I'm telling you, scouts really, really look at, and front office executives really dive into a lot.
Man. So. It's crazy in the chat. There's a lot of connections with the Texas just in general stats. Let's Itchy sort of saying, how good of a recruiter is the Houston wide receiver coach? Apparently, Deadfish is saying Sam Brown transferred from Houston to Miami. I mean, that's a lot of talent there in that state, I tell you.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, man. What did we see a little while back was Georgia was the big, and we still got a couple, 2 or 3 Georgia guys we signed this year, drafted and signed this year, right? Undrafted free agent and drafted. They were on that Georgia program. It seems like they're on to Texas a little bit now because obviously you got Barron Sorrell, you got Matthew Golden. They looked at Isaiah Bond. They're really liking something down there in Texas as well. Maybe it's that there might as well be professional football players because they're used to getting paid even when they wasn't supposed to. They could, you know what I mean? They know how to handle money. Texas has been paying these prospects forever. So if you guys don't know about that, Nick Saban called out Steve Sarkisian a few years ago about how much money they were paying. He was at a booth. He was meeting with boosters like, y'all better up your money because Texas is paying these kids. So that's why they ended up with so many players that got drafted too. So
is Sam Brown the guy that's been randomly flashing that people are talking about as well? Another wide receiver? Have you been hearing this?
I don't know anything about that.
I swear that it's chat. Let me know if I'm crazy. I thought there was somebody named Brown that was another wide receiver that we signed recently that is supposedly flashing like crazy to the point where he's got the media,
Immediately made me think of Michael Scott on the what was it, Diversity Day or whatever, when he said, I'm Mr. Brown. I'm not falling for that. God, that show, boy. There's no way
Sam Brown was on that team across the river from you there, Jacob, over there in Minnesota. Thought he was a Viking.
No, Sam Brown Jr. No, that's what they're saying. He was Golden's teammate apparently too.
Oh, interesting.
Nice. Good stuff, man.
I'm telling you, that'd be a sleeper for the practice squad at least, I'd hope.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys, that's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod,